Most people who's clicked on this video has most likely heard about the news about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and why the game sucked. If you didn't, I'm linking the article down below. Give it a read whenever, or not. I'm gonna break it down in this video anyway, but what the article is an in-depth article from Bloomberg by a trustworthy journalist by the name of Jason Schreier. My bad if I butchered that, I probably did. Anyways, the article is about the development of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and why the game turned out to be ass. Now look, to preface this video, I'm going to be breaking down the article and giving my thoughts. I know some of you may have seen this already, like I said, but I wanted to give my 2 cents on it because I think it's an interesting article, and ultimately, this is a good thing, as things are being put bluntly and honestly and truthfully. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was, by most people, not a good game. I mean, that's subjective, right? If you enjoy the game, like, no joke, I'm glad. Like, who cares what I think or what anyone else thinks? If you like the game, you're not a bad person. But in my opinion, the game just had a lot of issues, and thankfully, it's all addressed here. So yeah, I'm just going to break down this article and give my thoughts on this, and as a player of the game and a huge fan of the franchise, give my perspective. So yeah, let's get started. Subscribe, see I'm trying to get 100k, really appreciate it. So the article starts off with saying that WB revealed that Suicide Squad took a $200 million loss on May 9th. This makes it one of gaming's worst blunders. I mean, yeah, the game was ass. I mean, even on its initial reveal, people were skeptical. It just sounded bad from the title to everything leading up to it. But then it goes on to state the reasons for why the game failed, which includes a constant shift of visions and a culture of rigid perfectionism and a genre pivot that was ill-suited for the studio. So yeah, the game just was going through too many ideas during its development, which we'll get into the video. But like, remember when the game got delayed over and over again and we thought they were going to fix things, but they ended up not doing that? Yeah, it was kind of clear to me that the studio knew the game was not what we wanted, but it's also likely it's not what they wanted either, and the article will delve more into that, but here's something I wanted to touch on specifically. So the article talks about how well received the Suicide Squad movie was in 2016, the one by James Gunn, as it was a financial success, and because of that they wanted to ride the momentum. So at this point, WB Montreal was working on a Suicide Squad game. WB saw that they were kind of struggling and gave the project to Rocksteady. Rocksteady's co-founders, Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill, then dropped their current game they were working on and switched to Suicide Squad. Now, I wanted to talk about this because this is a problem. I hate, personally, when live-action superhero movies influence superhero games because most of the time in situations like this, it does not work out. It ends up harming a franchise. A big example I can think of this that's not this game is the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. The last entry, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, sucked ass because it just became an MCU glorified game rather than the colorful, vibrant game the franchise was known for. It makes you think what could have been if Suicide Squad didn't come out in 2016. Now, the movie was great. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. But yeah, this is something that's bad, especially when it feels like WB is unaware of this kind of thing. Superhero movies influencing superhero games is one thing. It can be a good thing, but it seems to ruin already amazing franchises that don't need that influence, like Marvel vs. Capcom that I mentioned, or in this case, the Arkham universe of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And it's clear that the movies were the big influence and the idea because Harley Quinn in this game is just Margot Robbie's Harley, a complete 180 change from the Harley in the Arkham games. It's not the same character from the Arkham games. And Deadshot, yeah, they made him feel like Will Smith's Deadshot and gave him this completely stupid retcon change they try to explain in the games about the Deadshot from the Arkham games being another one from an alternate universe, which makes zero sense. Like, dude, that is the most random thing I've ever heard in my life for a retcon change. Like, what? The article then talks about how WB persuaded them that the company's future are live service games like League of Legends and Destiny, since those games at the time were popular, still are. And the executives at Rocksteady said, yeah, bet. Let's do that, and decided to make Suicide Squad an online multiplayer live service game. Like, dude, this is an issue I have. Okay, there's a time and place for everything. Destiny and League, yes, those should be live service games. Like, that's what they were built on. Rocksteady's next Arkhamverse game, no, that should not be live service. I almost feel like it's common sense. Like, you know, people will be upset, right? This leads into what's going to be a big thing in this video, which is poor leadership choices. WB wanted a Suicide Squad game because the movie did good. WB wanted a live service because Destiny and League were doing good in the video gaming department with live service. Rocksteady made the choice after WB persuaded them to do that. This game being what it is stemmed from all these poor leadership choices, which is not going to stop here, and not only that, But the staff at Rocksteady for a live service game was a lot smaller compared to other live service game companies. It says in the article they had like 250 people working on the game, which is way smaller than like, say, Destiny staff. It just felt like the resources and knowledge to make a game they wanted was not there to begin with. And with no real knowledge on something like this, it was just already a setup for disaster. But the influence from the higher ups to make it like this is where it really shows how out of touch they can be at times, in my opinion. And I'm gonna keep saying this, it does not stop there. The article goes into detail on how the vision of the game kept changing. So like, the biggest change, which sucks balls, is that the leaders of the game wanted to switch from melee combat to gunplay. It says how the staff members are pretty much like, what the f***? Why would we do that? It says in the article how they were wondering why people like Captain Boomerang would use a gun when he uses boomerangs. Like, I totally agree. So you can see that, like, the people actually developing the game, not the leaders, but from what it sounds like here, they were wondering the same things we were. And at the end of the day, it's their job, right? Nobody did anything wrong here, except for the poor design choices for the game, which seems like it was all made by the people leading the project. That's where the big issues here come from. It's one of them, anyway. The story was pretty ass, too. But when you have shifting ideas like this that most of the staff doesn't agree with, you lose that passion. Passion's the big thing here. This whole game is separated from the Arkham games in that sense. This game started off as a way to use the momentum off other things, like the movies and live service gaming genre, rather than just make a game with the team's passion behind it like the Arkham games. It just sucks to see because it's crazy. You wouldn't expect that from Rocksteady with these leadership choices, right? And maybe the influence from WB was really strong. I don't know how all this went down, obviously I wasn't there, but this game was birthed from a business standpoint rather than a passionate one based off what I'm reading in this article. It sucks, dude. But yeah, the article then talks about how the game has had multiple delays, as we all know. But now it gets into Sefton Hill's decision making, which if you don't know who Sefton Hill is, he's the co-founder of Rocksteady, like I said. I remember him a lot from the Arkham days. It was always good seeing him back then because he always talked more about the Arkham games, giving us more info back then. Here though, for me, it gave me a completely different perspective on him. So according to the article, staff members would wait weeks or even months for Sefton Hill to review their work and to move the game forward. And because of his late reviews, it would slow development, leading to all the delays and things we heard of. And when he did review stuff, he would scrap big chunks of the game's script and struggle to convey his constant evolving ideas. And because of all of that, the morale of the team was hurt, and with all the scrap stuff that was happening, the game was failing to see consistent real progress, like naturally. So yeah, this was a big reason behind the delays, Sefton Hill not reviewing their work on a consistent basis, and he also had a bunch of ideas that would just not make sense, I guess. The article mentions how he pitched an idea to have drivable vehicles in the game that you could customize with weapons and stuff and navigate through the city with. But it confused the team members once again because the 4 playable characters already have traversal options. Why would we want to drive in a car? So after experimentation, that idea was scrapped, but we did get a vehicle system with using it for a limited time, shooting at stuff in the game as it flew around for some missions. So I guess they used it there. Now, Arkham Knight obviously had a vehicle system with the Batmobile, but that's different, right? It just is because it's Batman in the Batmobile. People want that. It would have been dumb here though. So I'm assuming ideas like that just delayed the game even more and again leads to questionable leadership choices. And here's another issue with the game. You know how every mission, every encounter in the game is pretty much the same exact thing over and over? Yeah, the developers touch on that. One of the biggest issues they found was trying to find a way where the player can play bosses and levels over and over again since it was live service and that's what needs to happen for live service. Because Rocksteady is more accustomed to telling stories and experiences the player only needs to complete once, it was hard finding a way to make it feel less tedious or repetitive. This is where the lack of knowledge and the solid foundation comes from making live service games in my opinion. It just doesn't work with a team like Rocksteady that's talented with making single player games and making them do something that's not in their field. It just doesn't work out. It just sucks when this is when it comes to. The next part of this article is also pretty funny to me. So they also then talk about how management promised them that the Suicide Squad game would coalesce at the last minute. Okay, dude. Some employees even adopted the term toxic positivity to describe the culture of the company. And on top of all this, the leadership never seemed worried. This also makes me even think more. Sure, we'll go with that. That WB and the leaders of the game were just so out of touch. Like, what were they thinking? They were never seemed worried and this game was just not being healthy for their work environment. Like, bro, what's going on here? Like, your employees are saying that the workplace is toxic and that they were just banking on the game coming together last minute and they never seemed worried. Like, what am I looking at? What happened? It just seems like everything wrong was in front of them and they didn't care. It's kind of funny, honestly. The game was the game was destined to fail, but somehow nobody on the leadership side thought like, hey, bro, this game might suck. And despite all these concerns, apparently WB executives kept reviewing the game and expected Suicide Squad to become a billion-dollar franchise. Really? A more $1 billion? This is where I was like, okay, yeah, WB is definitely out of touch because there's no way, there's zero chance you thought this game would reach those heights. Suicide Squad? Suicide Squad is not a big DC name, not as big as Batman anyway. Even with that movie, this whole part of the article just made me laugh. Like, there's no way. But here's the biggest thing that I thought was very sketchy. So the game's co-founders, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, they left Rocksteady in 2022 and they started their own company, 100 Star Games. And in their absence, they promoted some other guys in Rocksteady to lead the game. This change in leadership shocked Rocksteady staff, and according to the article, they said little to the public for their reasonings for leaving the company. They told Rocksteady employees that they had the opportunity to work with them free of WB mandates and pressures. And a little bit right after that, the first gameplay was shown of the game to us, which, you know, everyone slammed and said was trash, which led to more delays. So it just feels sketchy, right? Sefton Hill makes all these poor leadership choices with the game, decreases the team's morale, delays the game by not reviewing stuff, and at the end of it all, leaves the company with the mess to start his own company. Does that not seem sketchy? Like, I'm not tripping here, right? Like, it obviously just looks like he left before the backlash of Suicide Squad to avoid flack, like he jumped ship. That's what it looks like. Maybe he didn't put so much effort into leading the team because he was busy making this new company. I don't know, but that just seems really scummy. It's like being a part of a college group project and you have your part to do for the project, and the night before you just tell everyone you quit college and left your part for them to take care of. This is a personal example, by the way. I'm still mad about that to this day. But yeah, it's like that, dude. It's crazy. Sefton Hill always came off as a passionate guy for the Arkham games. Obviously, this article paints him more in this scummy way. Maybe he's not like that at all, but based off what I'm seeing here, it doesn't look great. And I don't know, maybe with him gone, the future of Rocksteady might be better. Only time will tell. Anyways, the game then is delayed, but then comes out, and as we all know, game was ass. I mean, most people thought it was ass anyway. But at the end of it all, there's always a shining light, or whatever the saying is. Because according to the article, the studio leaders at Rocksteady are now looking to pitch a new single-player game which could return Rocksteady to its roots. So this is really good to see, right? Because now we might get another actual DC superhero game. Maybe another Arkham game. Maybe a different hero like Superman. I don't want to speculate too much because there's nothing really to speculate on. It could very well not even be an Arkhamverse game or even a DC game. It could just be a new game. I don't know. But this is a step in the right direction. Like this one game, Suicide Squad, should not reflect Rocksteady's reputation completely. Because Rocksteady made genre-redefining titles, and I still have faith in them to make a solid superhero game, so we'll see what the future holds for them. But to summarize, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a result of really bad leadership choices by WB and Rocksteady, a lack of communication between the leadership and Rocksteady staff, low morale and different visions and ideas for the game, and at the end of it all, the leaders jumped ship, leaving the mess to everyone else at Rocksteady. It's just a shame on how it all happened, and the game has shines of light through it, in my opinion. Like, the graphics are great. I think traversal's fun. Even the gunplay is enjoyable for like 20 minutes. The designs were the best part, though. The designs, my god. The Justice League designs are actually top tier. Don't lie to me. Let me gush about this for a second. Every Justice League member here had a top tier outfit, except for maybe Flash. But Flash is still good. And Batman's suit in this game is the best suit in the Arkhamverse, like, on God. It's so good, right? Like, so yes, there were shines of light in this game, but it was overshadowed by the horrible development cycle. But at least we know now where things went wrong. We know why the game is how it is now, and hopefully this leads Rocksteady into making a better game and better future for themselves. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. It's just scummy practices leadership-wise and horrible decision-making on their end. But we'll see where it all ends up years down the road. I'm curious of what you think about all of this. I'm curious as to what everyone else thinks, but as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, share it, anything else, and I'll see you on the next video. Stay safe and peace.